Welcome to the Change Book Podcast. My name is Rachel Best, and this is our co-host.
I'm Nicole Harvick.
And this is the Change Book series. It is the fastest growing self-empowerment book series on the planet.
This spans over 30 countries, and we now bring them all together in a powerful podcast destined to change people from all corners of the globe.
So go ahead and grab your pen and paper because our guest today is going to share a lot of amazing tips and inspiration that you're definitely going to want to write down. Welcome to the Change Book Podcast. My name is Rachel Best, and I'm your host today. And today we have a special guest, Derrik. He is the owner of Assist You to Win. He's a sales coach, and I am excited to hear what he's going to share with you today. I'm going to encourage you to grab your pen and paper because as he starts sharing the things that he's been doing and what he's looking forward to do in the future, I'm sure you're definitely going to want to take some notes, and we're definitely more liable to remember when we take those notes. So go ahead, Derrik, and just share with us who you are. Tell us about you.
Well, Rachel, first off, thank you so much for reaching out and allowing me this opportunity to be a part of the Change Book Podcast. So to each and every one of you that's listening, the power of me is the power of you. And I say that because I have the awesome privilege of just meeting people and helping people discover who they are, what they love, and then giving them the courage and confidence to go and chase it. That's where the company name comes from, Assist You to Win, is that it's about being number one at being number two. We want you to be number one at what you do, and we want you to shine bright. We want you to play full out. And so our job is to provide you principles, the encouragement, the accountability, strategy in order for you to chase your dreams. So that's what I get the awesome privilege of doing on a day-to-day basis.
That's awesome. So can you elaborate a little bit and how do you do that? What are some of the principles? What are some of the strategies? How, when somebody comes to you, how do you walk them through?
You know, I think from the foundational place is, number one, we always emphasize that you build what you birth and you drop what you adopt. And what we really are saying there is we want the person not to find what's in somebody else, but to find what's in themselves. Because when we do, it's just like a seed that's planted in the ground. If we nurture, water, expose it to the right environment, that seed will grow. We want to help that individual to believe in their greatness. Now, for me, I don't have the ability to sing. I don't have the ability to dance, but I have the ability to communicate. But how often do I look at the person that can dance, look at the person that can sing, and I value their gifts sometimes more than I'll value the one that I have. So I want people to really recognize the unique gifts within them and then help them to say yes to that gift. We do all of that in what we call the clarity phase. That's phase one, clarity. You can't have a strategy if there hasn't been defined clarity. So once we get people clear on who they are, what they're doing, what they want to do, then we move into phase number two, which is strategy.
That's good. You really touch on something really good, really important, I should say, because there are so many times that, I've found in my own life that, looking at somebody that, oh, that's so cool, but totally disregarding and not even seeing the value that I have in me. And so I love that you just pointed that out because we do all have our own greatness. We all have our own uniqueness, and we all bring something to the table. And when we operate in our zone of genius, in our path, staying in our own lane, that's so important. I love that you really brought that up. That's a super big key that I think that a lot of people need to hear and be reminded of it too, that they have greatness in them and they have their own gifts and talents to share with the world. And so, Derrik, what made you become and an entrepreneur? What made you decide to do that? Have your own business?
I think the fact that I knew that there was always more, and I knew that my irritation was opportunity for me to do something different. Don't always want to say better. I just want to say different. So I would find myself succeed on my job, but then ultimately two people would get irritated, both myself as well as the supervisor. Well, it was because it was that growth in me saying expand, explore, go after more. And you have to get to a place that you have to decide, what are you going to bet on? And for me, it came down to it that it's time to just bet on you. And so when I understood that part of my gift was to help build and birth things, I wouldn't have been happy doing anything else. So I've tried my best to fit into all these circles, and I would succeed in them. But then just like certain type of animals or certain type of plants, you can outgrow the pot. And when you keep outgrowing the pot, it's time to put yourself in something that gives you the ability to have the flexibility to do it the way you see it, as well as the accountability to do it the way that benefits others. And so when entrepreneurs, that's what it was. And so again, I just said, it's time to formulate, it's time to set it out, and it's time to launch and go.
That's awesome. So how long have you been in business?
So we've been in business for 8 years, and so sometimes it was a dualpreneur side, right? And so COVID kind of allowed us to kind of pivot, and I went back into the automotive industry, and then we just went back out again. So, I understand what it's like to run a business on the side, but run a business full time. And what I do know is you'll never get to full time if you don't just get to part time. So you got to get started.
Yeah, that's really good. Definitely. And, I kind of want to backtrack here just a second because, you touched on some things you just said, and I'm taking notes too, because this is really good. Thank you. So, you had to decide and bet on you. And, and sometimes would you agree if sometimes we want to expand, we want to grow, like you said, there's that pot and that plant, and you outgrow the plant, but sometimes people are scared. So for you, what was that moment that you're like, you know what, I'm going to just do it? Were you ever scared? Were you ever fearful? What were some of those thoughts going through your mind when you decided to do this?
Yeah. So I'm a human being, right? I'm a human. So when I pinch, I say, ouch. And so, yes, fear was there. Fear has been there. Fear still creeps in. Doubt comes in, doubt leaves. And I think what it is that you get to a place that you understand that comparisonitis will keep you stuck. So you stop comparing your rookie season with somebody's 10th season.
That's good.
I had to get to the place to say, I'll never be an expert if I don't let myself be a rookie. I got to have a first year. I can't just see where somebody is, especially with social media, right? I can showcase all of my good and all of my successes, but we all know that there's been failure. But I think sometimes because people don't see it enough and we're not as authentic and transparent through the process of our story, then people then feel like they're failing when they're actually on the road to success. They're actually on the right road and the right feelings are happening. Those are just tests, right? Those are tests. It's kind of like if we were really betting, if you had $100 and they were in increments, if I bet one, I only get a chance to get back one. But if I bet 10, I got a chance to get back 10. And so as you build your confidence, you do start with betting one. You do start with one phase of your business. But that win should allow you to have success. And what I say is we praise our progress as our success, which then begins to get me the momentum needed and necessary to go accomplish or take on a bigger and a bolder play. So it's little by little we grow into who we are.
Yeah, that's really good. And can you repeat what you said about the rookie? What did you say? Repeat that phrase again.
Yeah. You can't compare somebody else's 10th year with your rookie year. If you never allow yourself a rookie season, you'll never get to being an expert. So you got to just be okay with it. And then on the flip side of it is this: there's always somebody wanting to be in your class. There's always somebody. Your class, though, may only start off with 3 people. But if you give those 3 people all of you and they get massive results, your class will grow. And too many times, again, we want it to be full when full to some is 3.
That's so good. That's so true. We have to start. We want the big, right? But we really have to start off with that small, because with the one, just that one person, that one thing, that one activity to move you forward. Because if we had where we want, we have to grow into it. Our character, our skills, our mind, all these things we have to grow into. Like, we can see that big picture and we want it now. We want it yesterday, but sometimes we're not ready for that big picture. I always like to say it's kind of like that 3,000 piece puzzle that you just throw on the ground and you're like, oh my goodness, and then you look at the picture and you're like, oh, that, I want that, but there's all these pieces that you have to put together to get to that picture. Yeah. And so I love how that's such a good analogy. And so, I also with failure, failure is feedback. So what is working, what's not working, what can I do differently? And so I really like that you brought that up. So and on social media, we do see the highlights. Nobody says all the bad stuff that they're going through, right? Or how to get to where they're at. So can you share with us some of your obstacles that you've had in growing your business, to maybe speak to somebody to give them some hope? Maybe they're just kind of in that verge right now of like I'm just ready to throw in the towel. Can you give us some of your obstacles that you've overcome?
Well, let me just tell you, you're going to have time for all of them, so I'll give you some of them, right? No, so I think one of the major ones for me was 2 things. One, trying to do too much too soon, right? You hear people, because cliches are kind of what we grow up around, especially with speakers and coaches. And, there's these cliches. And so you hear them and you may quote them yourselves, but you don't understand them until you really understand them. And the one that really hit me was there's riches within your niche, right? And I heard that, but I didn't understand it. So I tried to go reach everyone. And then ultimately, I didn't reach anyone. So when you try to think your gifts and talents can touch everybody, how do you market to everybody? So because of that, you don't dominate your niche. You don't dominate your audience. So when I realized that, I then started taking the pieces of my life, and it helped me to find the purpose of my life. And when I did this, when I started to say, don't throw away your experiences, instead use them to shape, mold the places that you want to do. I grew up in sales. When I first launched off as an entrepreneur, I didn't want to do anything around sales because I had this limiting belief around what people view sales, how people think of salespeople. So I wanted to be just a speaker and an encourager. So it wasn't until though I put my gifts, talents, experiences, I brought alignment to my assignment. And when I did is when I started to see the results come inside of my business. So big mistake was I tried to do too much too soon. Tried to reach everybody.
That's good. Your alignment with your assignment. That is powerful, because like you said, so many people try to just I can just help everybody, right? And just finding who those people are. And so tell me, how did you narrow that down to know who your audience was and the people that you wanted to help? How did you narrow that down?
So the first thing I did is I just started to see who comes and listens to me. I just started, you said something a second ago, you talked about how failure is feedback. So when I started to measure what mattered, it really helped me to see where I needed to focus in on. I always ask my clients 3 things. Is that the first question we always ask is what gives us the greatest return? So I started looking at who even just shows up when I talk, who comes. See, that when I started, there was no stage being brought to me. So I built my own stage. I had the meeting, I hosted it, I promoted it, and then people came. So when I analyzed who was coming, who comes back, who wants more of me, I started to see characteristics in those individuals. And once you see characteristics, you're really manually doing an algorithm. Because once you know your one, you know your avatar. And now it's just about duplicating the very person that already says yes to you. So now today, I know what it is. Even though I'm a male, 86% of my clientele are women entrepreneurs. They just flock. They just come. I have the ability to communicate in a way that they like. So I have built my programs now around that. Does men come? Yes, but more women come to the things that I do. So when you started to see that, then my marketing changed. My messaging changed. One of the biggest mistake was I was speaking one time and a lady walks up to me at the end. She said, "Do you realize you used the masculine pronoun the entire time and there wasn't any men in the room?" I didn't know I did. but I bet you this, I learned from that day, right? So again, these things are feedback. And then again, so I looked at what was there. That was my sphere of influence. That was my reach. And here's what I knew. There were more of those people in the world. So go get your audience because your voice has influence and just be happy with that.
That's good. That's really good. So, tell us what made you to decide to be part of the Change series?
Well, I think it's the word change. Anytime you know that the word itself is what you need to live, you want to be a part of those things because it's power. We often want to change it when many times it needs to change us. So when you see like-mindedness, you see commonality, you see individuals pursuing similar things, that's what you want to evolve into, right? That's where it's at. One of my first coaching things was DGCP, Dream, Growth, Change, Push. So when I see things that align with myself, I then know that's where I gravitate. I gravitate to that energy. I gravitate to those voices. I gravitate to those individuals because you know what? We say what? Sometimes success is a lonely place, but it doesn't have to be. We just got to keep maybe changing who we hang out with because there's a group of people also changing. And when you find your audience, you got to stick with it. So, it's that like-mindedness is why I knew I needed to be a part.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you touch on such a big thing, environment. We become the environment that we hang out with. And so if we want better, we want to do better, we want to be better, we have to hang out with where that's all at.
That's
and
right.
Having that growth mindset and being just as submersed with those people that are really wanting to make change in the world and make big impact in the world. And so I love that you're a part of the series. I love that we're colleagues and co-authors in such a amazing, the fastest growing empowerment, personal growth. And so the series is just amazing. And so, where do you see things going from here on out? Where do you see things going?
I see, of course, the takeover of individuals that continue to do as an onion does, and that's just continue to shed layers and continue to see themselves in greater places. And as we do, the only thing that happens is the best of Rachel, Derrik gets to experience and gets exposed to, and the best of Derrik, Rachel gets to, and now the world becomes a better world because we said no to our good and we said yes to our best. And we keep pushing ourselves to evolve and to change and to grow and to continue to transform. So I see more and more people getting on the train because we keep drowning out the individuals that want to whine instead of win. We say it all the time. You can win and whine. But you got to make a choice. And so when we decided to say we're going to win, it did not mean that we weren't going to face losses. It just meant that we weren't going to stop until the scoreboard says we won. And so that's why I see it going, just continuing to add more and more people, another person, until somebody touches the person in order to get the people in to be able to continue to do what they're called to do.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. That's very well said. I love it. I love how, just bringing those people along that really desire to want to grow and, to drown out the others that are whatever, doing what they're doing, right? So, reaching those people that really want to grow and just be more and just create the impact and create the change, evolve and change and transform and, all the words that you said. So, I just thank you so much for you taking your time. Do you have any last things you would like to say before we hop off of here?
The last thing I'll say is those that are listening, you're on the right road. And sometimes you just got to be encouraged. And I want you to know, no matter where you are, you could have got on and you just finished crying your eyes off. You could have got on and just had maybe the biggest setback in your life right now. No matter where you are, you could be in the greatest place of your life and you're winning. Here's what I want to tell you today is that the road to your next can happen right now. Don't sit back and wait on what you could make happen, but be willing to be patient and not get ahead of schedule, but just be on time. So I just encourage you to show up. I encourage you to win. I encourage you to go forward. I encourage you to stretch. You can't experience bigger staying in the person you were yesterday. So go after big, grow into who you need to be, and continue to support the Change Book podcast.
That's awesome. So if somebody wanted to connect with you, how could they connect with you?
They could I'm pretty much on all social media platforms. So Assist You to Win, ASSIST, the letter U, the number 2, WIN.com, to Instagram, to Facebook, TikTok. We're just started TikTok. So I need your help. Come follow me so I can go live. I can't go live yet because I don't have enough followers. So but Assist You to Win is where you can find me.
Very good. Very good. Well, again, I just thank you so much for you taking your time and just pouring into the audience. And I know I enjoyed our conversation, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm Nicole Harvick, and this is my co-host,
Rachel Best. And we look forward to seeing you again next time.